This is general information for judges. It goes along with the training that you will have received with each individual event. Each event has some different rules, so be sure to do the training for the events that you will be judging. All the students have worked hard to get to the tournament, and some may be doing this for the very first time. They are eager for feedback to help them improve in some concrete way. Each of you will have a judge folder with master ballots for each of the events that you will be judging. The times of the rounds and the rooms in which the rounds will be held are on those master ballots. In your judges folder, there will also be written information about each of the events, including ideas for the critique sheets. Dinner for the judges will be in the judges lounge and will begin near the end of the first round. The food will be available throughout the second round and at the end of that round as well. Please feel free to come and have something to eat. Before the round begins, students will hand you the critique sheets, also called ballots. They will stay in the room until the round is completed, unless they are double entered. If students are double entered, they will ask permission to leave to go to their second round. If they are arriving in your room as their second event, they will arrive during the round. There may be audience members, and they should not be allowed to enter or leave during a performance. In between performances is okay. If someone in your room disrupts a performance, you may ask them to leave the room. We encourage you not to be influenced by a large group of fans. Please do not leave your round until all the students on your master ballot have performed. Keep in mind that some students are double entered and may arrive in your room after they have performed in their first room. If a student is not listed by code on your master ballot, they should not be allowed to perform in your room. Please send them to the tab room and we will fix the problem. As students perform, you will write on the critique sheets. Finish up quickly after they are done, as time is tight in the rounds. Students do appreciate specific ways to improve. Ideas for things you can write on the critique sheets are included in your folders and within the training for each specific event. Some judges organize their critique sheets by drawing a line down the center and putting positive characteristics on one side and things the student can improve on the other. You could also just list your comments. Keep in mind that students and coaches will see your comments. Students should run their pieces in the specific order you have on your master ballot, unless they are double entered and need to go first in order to go to their second event, or if they are going to arrive late because they're coming to you as their second event. You should not stop and restart the timer unless there is some compelling event, such as an interruption from the loudspeaker, that requires it. Violation of certain rules are determined by the tournament director and are not penalized by rank or score deductions, but by disqualification. These determinations are made by the tournament director, not by the judges. If you are judging a round in which you feel a rules violation has occurred, rank and score that contestant based on the performance. Then, when you take your ballots to the tab room, report the suspected rule violation to the tournament director for handling. Some rule violations that would lead to disqualification include using non-published materials or use of a manuscript in an event in which manuscripts are not allowed. Your job as the judge is to rank and score the performance. Timing is an important part of the forensics competition. You are responsible for timing in your room. The timing rules vary by event, so please make sure of the rules for your event before you start your round. For events that have a grace period, if students go into that grace period, there is no specified ranking penalty, though you may consider it as you rank the performances. Please make sure you write the length of the piece on the critique sheet because students and coaches are paying attention to that number. If the student asks you for his time, you may give it. If a student goes over their event's time, plus the 30-second grace if there is one, then they may not rank first or be scored highest in that round. Sometimes students choose to perform pieces that you may consider questionable content. You may not disqualify a student because of the content of the piece that they choose. However, you can rank them lower based on the content if you think it's inappropriate for their performance. After all the performers are finished, you will first rank them on the master ballot, first, second, third, etc. There are to be no ties in ranking. The ranks are determined by you. Did you enjoy the piece? Did it work for you? Did the student follow the rules? Remember, you cannot disqualify a student, but you do control the ranking in the room. Once you've completed the ranking, then you will score each performer between 100 as the highest score and 70 as the lowest score. Again, no ties in scores are allowed. Typically, a 100 would indicate a performance that was flawless, and a 70 would be a very low ranking. Most rankings range between 85 and 100. When you are ranking students in a room, obviously there will always be a first place and there will always be a last place. The scoring helps to differentiate between rounds. Here's how the scoring works. The ranks are added for each student across all the judges in all the rounds. The student with the lowest number wins. If there is a tie in that number, then we move to the scores. For example, Jane got first, and second in her rounds and ended up with a ranking score of 4. Jack got second, and first in his rounds, and he ended up with a ranking score of 4. When we move to the scores, we see that Jane got a 99, a 98, and a 90 in her rounds as her scores, and ended up with a 287. Jack got a 98, a 99, and a 97 in his rounds, and ended up with a score of 294, and Jack wins. Many times judges will choose scores that are close together for performers that are pretty evenly matched. So, for example, if two students do a good job in their performance, one might get a 97 and the other might get a 96. If the students are not evenly matched, then one might get a 97 and the other might get a 92, indicating that the difference in the performance level was significant. Make sure to do the event training for the individual events that you will be judging. Please note what time the tournament begins on the master ballots in your judge folders. If you have specific questions about the general rules for forensics, please feel free to ask the tournament director or in tab room. Thank you so much for agreeing to help us with the tournament. The students really appreciate the fact that you're giving up your time to help them judge and are looking forward to the critiques that you will give to help them improve their performance in the future.
I got the magic in me. Every time I touch that track, it turns into gold.